Welcome to today's Executive Insights by Mediacorp webinar, Optimizing Efficiency Through Health and Wellness. We always need to learn a little something about that. My name is Sonia from 987, and I'll be your moderator for today. Now, in this session, we'll be discussing striking a harmonious balance between career pursuits and personal well-being in today's fast-paced world. I myself am still trying to strike that balance and look for the answers. And we're also exploring ways to enhance your physical and mental resilience as we delve into nutrition, medicine, fitness. I mean, they're all intertwined, and we all could use a little bit more education when it comes to that. So here we go with our speakers here today. We're very, very honored to have them take time out of their busy schedules to join us. Please welcome first Dr. Si Hui Ti, Senior Consultant, Medical Oncology at Parkway Cancer Center. Now, Dr. Si was a medical oncology consultant at the National Cancer Center and KK Women's and Children's Hospital, so specializing in the adult breast and gynecologic cancers as well before pursuing internal medicine training at Singapore General Hospital. Now, currently, she is a member of multiple very, very prestigious societies: International Gynecologic Cancer Society, American Society of Clinical Oncology, and many more. So let's say hello to Dr. Si.
Hello. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Dr. Si. Thank you so much for joining us. This is not too early for you, right? Sorry, did you say something, Dr. Si? Oh, I believe she might be muted, or perhaps our system is a little laggy here this morning. Not to worry, we'll get back to you in just a bit, Dr. Si. Up next, we have physician Eric Tan, TMC expert at Eu Yan Sang, Singapore. I've always been very curious about traditional medicine as well, so a very good chance for us to ask many questions here. Physician Eric graduated from Beijing University of Chinese Medicine with a degree in medicine, and he furthered his academic journey by earning a degree in biomedical science and traditional Chinese medicine from Nanyang Technological University as well. So let's say hi to physician Eric. Hi.
Hi, Sonia. Hi, everyone. Hi.
Morning. How are you today?
Morning. Yes, I'm good. I'm so excited for today.
Fantastic, because I think we got tons of questions, right, for you as well. So hope you're ready for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Last but not least, we have Tyen, Rasif, celebrity fitness trainer. She's a renowned figure here in Singapore, and girl, I have to say, she is so fit. I'm always so inspired by her. She's excelled as a top celebrity fitness trainer, singer, songwriter, and also she's popular on social media too and YouTube. She specializes in women's weight loss and strength training, while also positively impacting diverse individuals on their journey to a healthier lifestyle. She was formerly a bodybuilder and a top 5 finalist in the Miss Universe Singapore competition too, but she's really shifted her focus to championing the importance of exercise for mental health too. And she's co-created something called No Sweat. It's a groundbreaking personal training app, which I'm sure she'll tell you more about in just a little while. So hello, Tyen, welcome.
Wow, that was such a kind introduction. Thank you so much for that. Good morning, everybody.
You look fresh as always. Did you already put a workout in before you joined us this morning?
Maybe, I might have.
Okay, I'm sure she did. Welcome to our 3 wonderful panelists for joining us today, for taking the time out to really have this discussion. Now, there's some fascinating studies going around. I'm sure you read a lot of articles and a lot of information out there. So much available out there right now. Now, in this fascinating healthcare study recently, it uncovers attitude shifts post-pandemic. So out of the 1,100 Singapore respondents, and it's a total of like 9,000 worldwide, 88% of Singaporeans are reassessing their lives. So this is higher than the global average of 79%. Now, material possessions are no longer the be-all and end-all. Now we're actually actively thinking about non-materialistic aspects, things like time spent with family and friends, physical, emotional resilience, and I think all of which were also born from the pandemic in some way. We had to adapt, we had to acclimatize and learn a lot about ourselves too. Now, 31% of Singapore respondents are also considering more natural approaches to diet, to well-being. And I'm sure this is music to a lot of professionals' ears, because we've been trying to encourage healthier lifestyles to a lot of people, right? However, on the other end, 41% are more worried about illness, about falling sick. This is the second highest population in the survey, just behind Hong Kong. So I think it's very obvious that we're reassessing our priorities and how everything has affected us and influenced our choices in our lives too, right? So we're going to address this with our speakers. But before anything else, let's get into a poll first. Now, let's get to that slide. The first poll in question for you here today, which we would love for you to answer so we can get a better sense of our listeners and our viewers here today. Is your work desk bound? So the definition of it is, do you spend at least 6 to 8 hours sitting down daily? Is your work desk bound? Let us know. I'll give you a moment to answer the poll and have a think about that. I'm curious to see the results actually. After which we have another question for you. And after these two questions, we get a better sense of who is tuning into us here today. All right, we have the results. Is your work desk bound? 86% of you said yes. Wow. Only 14% of you are saying no at this point. Okay. I'm part of the 14%. So even though I am in the studio early in the morning, 6 to 10 a.m., please tune in, by the way, on 987. I drive you to work. Shameless plug here. I sit down for maybe like 3-4 hours, but the rest of my day I'm spending walking around, doing shoots. You know, I'm quite active and on my feet most of the time. So I'm not really desk bound. But 6 to 8 hours is very common. A lot of my friends, my peers, you know, maybe even your family members, your parents will be doing that as well. So we're going to dive straight into it with the next question too, to get a better sense. What topics are you most interested to talk about and find out more about today? Here are your options: food and nutrition, physical fitness, TCM or holistic medicine, mental wellness and resilience. Here are your 4 choices. You are able to select now. And of course, our 3 panelists are all very well versed in answering any of the above categories. So we're happy to be pitching them some questions. And if you have any questions as well, don't forget, we would love to have you in the conversation too. Let's see what the results are in just a moment. I love these polls. Okay, here we go. Quite even, I must say. Food and nutrition and I would say mental wellness and resilience kind of almost tied at this point. Physical fitness as well. TCM and holistic medicine. I would say everything is quite evenly spread. Food and nutrition and mental wellness and resilience are at the top of the list right now. So I think it would be safe to say we might want to start off with Tyen, perhaps. I think one of our first speakers here today. I believe Dr. C is trying to log back on. So we will get to Dr. C in just a little while. I'm just going to get a confirmation. Oh, Dr. C is back. Okay. See, guys, this is all the beauty of a live show. Okay. I must tell you, live shows are always exciting, always keeps me on my feet. And it's what burns my calories as well. The stress and the anxiety. Yeah, that burns calories too. Okay. Let's start with Dr. C. Welcome back. Welcome back to the chat. Hopefully she's able to
Sorry about
join us.
that.
Yes.
Yes.
No problem at all. We completely get it. This is technology, you know, and the pandemic has taught us that we really have to embrace technology as well, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so let's start with you now. What is the role of nutrition, not just in health, but also in mental well-being at this point?
You know, I think we as Singaporeans, we're all foodies, but it's very clear that we need food to grow and to be well. As we all know that the food is always divided into the 3 macros and all the micros. It's probably more important about the micros. It's easy to get carbohydrate, to get fat, to get protein. But what is it in our food that really makes us healthy? It is really the micronutrients. If we have too much sugar, it is well known to play around with our mental well-being. It can cause some mess up in the hormones in the brain, and that can kind of cause us to have severe hyperglycemia and hypo, which can create depression. And of course, all this doesn't help us to de-stress, and therefore, I'm a medical oncologist, so de-stress and therefore reduce the risk of cancer. So in a way, too much sugar will lead to the risk of increasing cancers. Too much fatty food can also lead to the increased risk of cancer. And with all that, of course, that reduces mental well-being. So food is very linked to mental well-being.
So, I mean, I know you're a medical professional and there was a lot of big words that you also used early on. Can I just simplify a little bit? Perhaps do you have any suggestions? Like, what are some foods that are good to encourage that kind of, better balance in our mental state and well-being?
I think if there's one thing that we have to focus on, and that would be protein. Protein is number one, fat is number two, and carbohydrate is number three, interestingly. Because we have a lot of vitamins and minerals that require fatty acids to be absorbed in our body. So if we don't have enough fat in our diet, we won't be able to absorb those. And of course, protein is the building block of a body. If we don't have enough of that, then definitely we can become malnutrition or relatively malnutritioned. Nothing to do with how much we weigh. We can be big, we can be heavy, but very malnutrition because of sarcopenia or the loss of muscle mass.
That's a very good point. But when you say fat, do you mean good fat like avocados and stuff? That's a good one, right? Please say avocados.
Well, yes. I mean, it's essential fat, basically monounsaturated fat and polyunsaturated fat.
Learning a lot already, and it's only been a few minutes into the webinar. Okay, there are a lot of myths and misconceptions sometimes surrounding nutrition. And now with our easy access online, there's so much information out there. There's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's whatever it is that you read out there. There could be fake news as well. What is one myth or misconception that you keep hearing from your patients? I know doctors probably have a lot that they hear. What is one that you recall off the top of your head?
Actually, there's only two. Primarily, number one, eating meat is bad. And number two, eating fruits are good. So this is the myth. I like to have it on record that too much fruits is bad and too little meat is bad. So everything is about in moderation. Between meat and fruit, I'd rather my patients eat meat than to eat fruit, because they can overeat fruit and never overeat meat.
Interesting. I'm taking notes right now. I'm taking notes. But there are some things that we hear as well. And I know this might sound a little crazy, but I've heard things like, oh, you can burn fat from eating grapefruit or a cabbage soup diet, that kind of stuff. What's all that about? Have you heard of these, by the way?
Yes, of course. I mean, I have personally tried the cabbage fruit diet and the grapefruit diet myself. But as far as we're concerned, as long as we are fueling our body with external sources of food, we will probably never really burn fat. We can only burn fat when we have exhausted the food that we've eaten in our stomach, the glycogen in our liver, before we start to burn fat in our body. So there isn't any food that helps to burn fat. But there are foods which can help us to tap into the stored glycogens in our liver, in our muscles. We use it up, and then we can begin to burn the fat in our body. So if I end up taking a lot of simple sugars, then I never reach the fat in my body to burn it. But if I have relatively little sugar and I need to tap into my body's reserves, then we begin to burn fat. So that's the myth that most people have.
Okay, yeah, that's a very good perception. But just to clear the air as well, when you say protein is good, meat is good, not like A5 Wagyu all the time, right? It's got to be something more healthier, right? That's what you mean?
Well, actually, beef is probably the best animal protein one can afford on earth. So if I can eat 50 grams of Wagyu beef every single day and keep it to 50 grams, that's actually a super source of protein.
Wow. But I think the problem is we can't keep to 50 grams when we start.
No, we can't.
We start the Wagyu beef, yeah, the yaki.
But similarly, we also cannot keep to, say, 2 fruits a day, 2 servings of fruits a day. I always tell my patients, if I were to present them with a platter of drumsticks, chicken wings, they will look at it and go, that's too much. But if I present them with a whole platter of fruit 3 times a day, they will say, oh, that's really lovely. If the doctor say I can eat it, I'll eat it. And they will eat it. But that's almost equivalent to 200 grams of sugar if they were to eat 3 platters of fruit a day. So everything's in moderation. The important thing is to equip ourselves with knowing how much is too much and how much is enough.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because what we might be doing, what we think is right, could be damaging our health instead.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I will get Tyen and Eric to jump in just a little while. One more question for you, Dr. C, before I move on. Intermittent fasting. I've heard so much about this. So many of my friends have tried it.
Yes.
Some people swear by it.
Yes.
It's supposedly good for metabolism, to lose weight faster, to get your everything back in check. Is this
Yes.
true or false? I must know.
Yes, it is true. There are multiple studies that show that fasting is good for the body for longevity. Essentially, it's caloric restriction. It doesn't really matter how long a person intermittently fasts. So some people, 12 hours of not eating is already fasting. So some people, 24 hours of fasting is what they do normally. So intermittent fasting just means that this person omits one meal when the body is still digesting the previous meal, and that they let the body have some chance to digest and to utilize whatever they've eaten in the previous meal. So that will ultimately, hopefully, lead to a caloric restriction, which will slow down the metabolism and therefore reduce the risk of cardiovascular and cardiovascular diseases, as well as prevent cancer. But the key here is caloric restriction.
Okay, so what you're saying is also you have to be very well-read and well-informed before you make any sort of decision to do any form of intermittent fasting.
Yes.
Don't
There's
just
no point
blindly
in,
follow your friends.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's no
Okay.
point in fasting for, say, 20 hours and then go out and eat 4,000 calories worth of food. It isn't going to help at all.
I'm not gonna lie, if I am not eating for 24 hours, I'm definitely gonna eat like 2 plates of Hokkien mee, you know what I mean? So that's just reality.
If that's in the assumption you can actually accept it, your body can accept it. Most of the time you can't. You will feel very sick after that.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. C, for very
you.
insightful last couple of minutes. Please stick around. Tyen and Eric, I just want you guys to jump in quickly as well. How does your diet look like after hearing everything that Dr. C had to say? Tyen, do you kind of practice some of these things that were mentioned earlier?
Well, I think we're really blessed today to have Dr. C sit in with us today, really driving home the scientific perspective of these diets, because intermittent fasting, keto dieting, it's all the rage. And I think it's really important to look at the science of it. And hi, joking behind you. And we'll also find that, it's also great that people have now debunked those misconceptions about having, high fruit diet and about, having high amounts of protein and whether that's good for you. I completely agree. I'm with her in that high amounts of proteins is so important. I think it's really essential for you to fuel your body with the protein, because that is the building block of muscles. And I'm going to talk a little bit about sarcopenia a little bit later, but it's so true that after the age of 30, it's a known thing that women start to lose muscle mass and the muscles start to atrophy. So what's really important is to fuel your body with that protein to make sure that we have that muscle, because it's so important. And also, debunking that misconception of having a high carb diet, and why, people are all about eating less carbs, which is really good for your body, because I think having less carbs and less sugar is going to allow your body to delve into those sugars and then delve into your fats and then use that as energy, which is actually a more efficient source of energy for your body.
And I also believe that once you take your first bite of carb, it's like, wow, there's no turning back. You just keep going because it sparks off that something in your brain, right? I mean, I'm no professional, but that's how I feel. Just a quick one. I've got a question coming in for Dr. C. I heard that red meat is bad and white meat is good. How true is that, Dr. C? Directed to you.
Generally speaking, red meat has more fat and more unsaturated fat. So generally speaking, if we say that we eat a lot of red meat, especially if it's char-grilled, then studies have shown that anything more than 500 grams a week can be associated with certain cancers, such as breast cancer, uterine cancer, and colon cancer. But if we think about it, not many people are going to eat 100 grams of red meat every single day. Most of the time, we eat it twice a week or so. Now, white meat, which is breast meat, chicken breast meat, has less unsaturated fat, and therefore it's supposed to be healthier from the fat point of view. But overall, there is only that amount of protein that we need, which is calculated at approximately a gram per kilo of body weight for any sedentary person. So as long as we don't exceed that, a moderation of a mix between the red meat and the white meat will be okay. Certainly something that we can talk about it here on a webinar isn't going to be the same as a personalized kind of nutritional advice that one can give for any particular person, especially if they have high cholesterol and have diabetes and other issues.
Well, actually, that's a very good question, because for patients with high cholesterol and diabetes, this is actually a question coming from Adrian. Won't beef and fruits be a no-no in the diet? What's an alternative besides, exercising, plain water, and so on? If you could answer, Adrian.
Yeah, so he's absolutely right. So if those who knows me, all my patients know me to be very anti-fruit. I tell patients, if possible, never to eat any fruit, because even when we say no fruits at all, they manage to squeeze some fruits in. So when we say go ahead and eat fruits and vegetables, it will be 9 servings of fruits and 1 serving of vegetables. So if there are any fruits to be eaten, it is just stick to the berries, the blueberries, the strawberries, the blackberries, the raspberries, the mulberries. All these are very low in sugar, and it is known not to spike the sugar of the diabetic patient that much. But again, we have to be doing in moderation, no more than perhaps 100 grams of all these berries added together for the whole day. Now, in terms of beef, again, beef is the best source of animal protein. In order to get the same amount of protein, we would have to eat a lot of vegetables, and sometimes the intestines cannot deal with so much fiber. So, in moderation, control the amount of beef and control the amount of sugar in the fruits. Of course, we are not asking people to just go out and exercise and drink plain water. Even when there's prolonged fasting, we call it the fast mimicking diet, where we permit a person to take approximately 300 to 400 kilocalories of food in order to keep and sustain the body's normal function. So everything in moderation, and know how much is little and how much is too much.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. C. And thank you for your questions so far. That's exactly the way to go. If you ever have any questions at all, drop it in the chat box. We'll address them as we move along as well. Okay, so up next, we have Tyen. Now, earlier on, you told us a little bit about, an insight into your diet. And of course, everything is always very enlightening when we find out more about the nutrition from our professionals and our experts as well. So Tyen, over to you. Now, we're talking about an holistic approach to well-being. And I know that you really champion that. You're really big on wellness, on mental health as well. But Tyen, in your opinion, is holistic well-being and wellness something that you feel like you still have to explain to people? Like, what is that all about? Do people still ask you, how do I take care of my wellness? How do I do this?
Yes. So I think for a lot of people, they come to me as a personal trainer. A lot of them are here with the intention of, okay, I need to lose weight, or I'm trying to lose fat and I want to look a certain way. So I think that actually comes as the main motivation for a lot of my personal clients. But I think what it has evolved into is that there's been a big shift into people wanting to exercise as a habit just for their mental well-being and for their mental health, because they've realized that, okay, yes, there is that aesthetics purpose to exercising. They want to look good, they want to lose weight. But then I think now that there's a rise in this importance, mental health, mental wellness, working out as a foundation for a healthier life or for a happier life, I think that now people have started to realize that they feel the difference, not only see the difference, but they feel the difference. And once you feel that difference, you become kind of addicted to this fitness lifestyle. And I think that this has been such a encouraging shift that I've seen in the fitness industry, that people are not just focusing on aesthetics, looking a certain way. They actually want to do it for their health, for their mental well-being.
No, I think that is so important to bring up, because the more that we're exposed to so much different content nowadays on social media, we keep thinking like, oh, this is my ideal body, or like, oh, I need to take a picture of this model and pin it on my wall, and this is my resolution for this year. And sometimes it's unrealistic because we're just not born this way, or we don't have access to certain, treatments or whatever it is these celebrities are doing. Unrealistic goals. And that's what I like about you, because you're very real and you show us that, hey, as long as you're healthy in your mind and your body, I think that's definitely the most important. But, above all, you are, of course, very fit as well. And there are many myths, I'm sure, that you have heard about. Let's talk about some of the other exercise fitness myths that we hear about sometimes. Cardio versus weight training. Now, which is more important to keeping fit? Or is your answer going to be, we have to have a bit of both?
Okay, so I think you've answered that. We do have to have a bit of both. But I also think that in the past, people used to come to me and go, okay, how much do I need to run in order to lose weight? I need to run. I need to do as much cardio as I can, sweat it all out because I'm sweating my fats out. And this used to be the misconception that a lot of people used to have. But I think what's important as a personal trainer now is I'm trying to champion more women lifting weights in the gym or just doing more strength training. The misconception used to be that cardio was for fat loss and that strength training was for muscle building. So a lot of women don't want to go to the gym. They don't want to lift weights because they fear looking bulky. And I think that was something I really had to debate against, especially when I was doing bodybuilding or, being a female trying to lift weights in the gym. But now I think more women are starting to realize the really positive impacts of weight training in terms of fat loss, in terms of building muscle. And I would argue personally that strength training is actually more important than cardio. Yes, you do need to have the cardio for your heart health, but strength training just has a long list of benefits that just outweighs the benefits of cardio. With strength training, you build muscle. So as I talked about sarcopenia just now, Dr. C mentioned it, after the age of 30, especially women, we start to experience muscle atrophy. And that's when year on year, your muscle density starts to decrease. And that can lead to injuries. There has also been scientific research that has proven that it leads to a lot of chronic diseases and a lot of other illnesses in the future. So I think what's really essential is that all people should start doing some form of strength training.
Yeah, and I would say definitely there has to be a balance, because when you go to the gym, okay, I myself, I'm quite petite, so I don't want to also look bulky, as you mentioned early on. But there is a balance that you strike, that you just don't do such heavy weights or you don't do such heavy intensity. Is that right? Am I right to say that?
Okay, so I think that it's true, because I do have a lot of clients who they also still tell me, yes, I want to lift weights, but I don't want to get too big. I think the misconception comes is that we're going to get very bulky. You only get that bulky when you eat in a caloric surplus. So if you're eating too much, that is actually when your body becomes a lot bigger. And I think, to a lot of women, you shouldn't fear that so much. You should lift as heavy as you want. It's not about lifting lighter weights. You actually want to lift as heavy as you can for as much as you want. And I think it's not going to lead you to be bulky. What leads you to being bulky is your diet. So yes, lift as heavy as you want, go as intense as you want in the gym, and just watch your diet. You won't get bulky.
Go as intense as you want, but also with a professional with you if you're not used
that too.
if you're not used to some of that. Okay, we've got a question coming in. Tyen, what's your advice on 10-minute workouts? This is coming in from one of our viewers. Do these 10-minute quick, hit workouts work? Because I have to admit, I do it sometimes when I have zero time. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do 7-minute kettlebell swing or something like that. What's your advice on that, these quick workouts?
Okay, can I just say that, Sonia, I've seen you work out at the gym. And can I also tell everybody here on the floor that Sonia works really hard. She actually lifts really heavy. And she is pretty intense in the gym as well. But I want to say that, yes, actually these 10-minute workouts, I do them myself. And I personally encourage my own clients to do them. They are just as effective. They just give you a really good workout for 10 minutes. If you want to just feel strong, you want to do a couple of compound movements, so push-ups, squats, and planks. These are my 3 main compound movements. I call them power moves. So squats, push-up, planks. You want to do them in 7 minutes. I think that's better than nothing. And I know for all the busy professionals, it's sometimes really hard to get that 1 hour in every single day. It's go the whole day. So if you can just get 5 minutes, 10 minutes of movement to really feel your muscles, to feel strong, I think that's better than nothing. So yes, I would say they are completely effective, and I would encourage everyone to do them.
It compounds, it adds on, and eventually you'll see some results. But also spot reduction of fat is something that I've heard of. Like, for example, if we are maybe a little bit more pear-shaped, or I want to work my inner thighs more and all that, if you work that specific body part, will it really reduce the fat in that area? Or how do you do that? Because there's certain please, I think we've got 70 participants here. I'm sure some of you are going to agree. Some parts are just impossible to lose. So how do we get to that, Tyen?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. How do I spot reduce fat in my belly? That's the number one question. Belly fat, arm fat, back fat, leg fat. So I think that this is a huge misconception. You cannot spot reduce fats. If you want to reduce fats, you're going to have to reduce your overall body fat percentage. And that is done primarily through your diet. So going back to what Dr. C said about caloric restrictions and eating a caloric negative, that's going to help you to lose your overall body fat. It's just, I know we're all not really born equally. You know, we have fat storage in different parts of our bodies. Some people have more fat cells in the upper body, some people have more fat cells in their lower body. So if you want to reduce any area, you're gonna have to reduce your overall body fat percentage. What you can do is that you can spot build. So if you want to tone a certain area, you can spot treat to that. So if you want to build your arms, yes, you can do more upper body exercises. You want to build your lower body, you can do more lower body exercises. So that is my way around it. You cannot spot reduce fats, but you can spot build areas.
Thank you for the reality check, because sometimes we might be a little lost and confused with so much information being thrown at us. And I'm sure if you want more advice, you can definitely drop Tyen a DM or anything at all if you have any further questions on that. Thank you so much, Tyen, for sharing with us. If we have any other questions, we'll address them as we go along. Now we're going to move on to something a little interesting, because I believe I have not much information when it comes to this, because I myself have not really dabbled in this before. Physician Eric, I'm going to bring you up on the panel right now. Very interested to hear from you. In the world of TCM, the balance of the yin and the yang, the importance of maintaining good health, can you give us a quick explanation on what is this yin-yang theory and the importance of staying strong and healthy?
Yes, hi Sonia. So for many people, if you talk about TCM, they will have these two terms coming in mind, yin and yang. So but a lot of people say, what is yin and what is yang? So yin and yang actually is just a very simple concept of a body balance. So for yang, most of the time there's certain components in it. One of it is the heat, the body heat, the temperature. So sometimes when people say you feel body heatiness, it's also due to the component of yang. And also fire, sometimes heat, sometimes the body warm. When you feel warm in the body, then you in like maybe tropical countries, or this is also part of a component of yang. Anything that got to do with heat. And also when we move, when we are exercising and doing work, and we are thinking a lot, we are like our muscles are working and our minds are working. This is also form of yang. And one of it is also like we can say it as a kind of a battery in us. So yang is a kind of battery. It provides the energy for us to do our daily work and to perform our daily tasks. So we can actually say in one word what is yang. Yang is a passive form of our body. Sorry, it is an active form of a body. Active form of, whereas passive, you will go into another component, which is the yin. The yin is the passive form, which is the quieter form. So for yin, it involves like the resting, your sleep, your relaxation. Sometimes when you do meditation, all those, this is also a component of this yin. And another very important component parts of this yin is also the hydration part, like the water and the cooling part. Because even though like let's say we say the body cannot be like extremely cold, we will feel like very frozen, very chilled. But a certain amount of this coldness is very important, because in TCM we need the balance of yin and yang. Just now we were saying that the some parts of heatiness is caused by the excessive yang. This cooling part is supposed to balance out so that you won't feel like these heaty symptoms or body warm, or too much. It will lead to like what we say fever, or those extremely uncomfortable feeling of this warm.
Yeah.
So just now Dr. C mentioned food, right? In TCM, even food we classify it in a different way. So we have food, like we classify according to the nature of the food, which is also part of yin and yang, which we have this warm food, we have cooling food, and also this neutral food, which is more or less calm, means that it doesn't cause a extreme heaty or like cooling this property. So one example of warm food that will boost the yang, we have, because in TCM we don't go straight. A lot of us also have this misconception: TCM must be herbs, must be a treatment, must be like a form of a formula concoction, all those. But in TCM actually we focus also part of prevention is a very important part of TCM, and food is a main focus for this prevention.
No, that's
And
great because I think that is one connecting theme across all three speakers here today when it comes to diet, when it comes to food. There's a quick question from our audience right now. And the question is, my friend still actually got a stroke, even though he took his high blood pressure pills daily. Are there any natural healing ways to cure high blood pressure? And perhaps later we can also get Dr. C to chime in. But first, I would like to hear from physician Eric.
Yes, for TCM point of view, when you come to this high blood pressure, if it is due to like disease of the blood vessels or those, it's actually we still don't we won't advocate like you to like take TCM treatment and stop your high blood medication, hypertension medication, or stop your Western doctor's treatment. No, this is totally wrong. In TCM, we have certain herbs or like maybe herbal tea that can reduce blood pressure, but this blood pressure is due to like say stress, or if you don't sleep well, maybe at the borderline case, or maybe you get very angry, all those. It can slightly reduce by lowering your stress level and cause your relaxation, but it doesn't cure. Like if your blood pressure is like, let's say 160, 160 systolic, 100 diastolic, the one below, this is too high. You cannot use cannot say I take TCM herbs and you will help. You have to complement. So most of the time, TCM is a very good complementary methods treatment for the Western treatment. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I understand where you're going. So to summarize, you're saying, of course, it's a lifestyle thing as well.
Yes.
People have to manage your stress levels, your anxiety levels. Your lifestyle has to improve. And then you can have these complementary treatments to help them get better. Dr. C, anything that you want to chime in about when it comes to this question that our listener had earlier on? I believe Dr. C is muted currently still. Maybe we can try to fix that in a short while. Okay, while we fix that, Eric, I will get to the next question first, because a lot of us are working and have very hectic lifestyles, right? So what is your opinion on replacing certain physical activities with treatments like Tyen, with acupuncture? Do they serve as alternative treatments? Can I replace them? Because I've never tried Tyen, I've never tried acupuncture. I've heard great things about it, but maybe you can enlighten us about that.
Yeah, actually, in fact, Tyen, acupuncture, all those, they are very effective if you are going like maybe like sports injury, or maybe like say certain treatment of certain kind of diseases and condition. However, but let's say if you're going to say maybe the body is lack of iron, maybe have these anemic symptoms. You cannot say I will do an acupuncture and directly stimulate the production of iron. You still need to get a source somewhere. So acupuncture, maybe it will help in circulation and the production of this red blood cell, but you need a source. So it's important to have a balance of both diets, exercise, and also treatment like form of acupuncture or Tyen. So for example, let's say like calcium. If you take in calcium alone without exercising, the absorption and without the vitamin D, it is also not it also won't work that way. Yeah.
It just doesn't process that way. Your body needs to process it. I see Dr. C nodding away as well. And welcome back, by the way.
I'm
so
so
maybe
sorry
we can
about
just, no problem at
Yes.
all. We can quickly
Yes.
jump back to
Yes.
our listener's question
So,
earlier.
yeah. So I would like to address these two. As far as stroke is concerned, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and overall stress, and smoking, all are risk factors for strokes. So simply by just controlling the high blood pressure, but not controlling the diet, not controlling the cholesterol, not controlling the stress, of course, the stroke can still happen, especially the small vessels in the brain. So with regards to that, I think it needs to be a very holistic kind of management, controlling all these risk factors because they are not obese. So when they're not obese, they tend to lull into thinking they're extremely healthy when actually their blood vessels are in terrible condition. And the first thing they need to realize is how much stress can actually increase the blood pressure despite the high blood pressure medicine. So it has to be a holistic care. The second issue is about supplementation, which means that a lot of people think, well, I don't have time to eat healthy. Can I just take a supplement for that? So a supplement basically are molecules that are man-made into a tablet. And we wish that these man-made molecules can improve our health. Unfortunately, micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals are absorbed at different times in different ways into our intestines, into our body. I can take a lot of calcium, but it can pass directly through to my urine, back out into the system. I can take lots of vitamin C, but it's just going to get passed out. So there are certain foods which will help the absorption of nutrients, and there are certain foods which are anti-nutrients. So it's important to educate ourselves such that we know that by simply taking a supplement doesn't replace the presence of good food. It's better to spend the money on good food, relaxation, and taking all our nutrients through food without supplementation.
That's a good point because I know some people who have a whole handful of supplements every morning. So I was always very curious whether it is super effective or not. But thank you for clarifying that it's still very good to go through the food and your diet. I think that is still the number one thing that you're emphasizing on here today. We've got a question coming in for Eric related to TCM treatments. Does TCM cupping help to disperse body toxins and help weight loss? How regularly should that be done? And are women's bodies more damp than male bodies? I need an enlightenment on this too, because I'm not entirely sure about this question. Physician Eric, you want to jump on for this question from our listener?
Yes, for cupping, recently nowadays, you can see more and more people going for cupping. It might be due to marketing or some, but for cupping, we have to take note of a lot of factors. Because cupping is most effective for those with cold body constitution, means that those who feel cold easily, like have cold limbs or those. Whereas for those who always have this warm body constitution, or they always feel like sore throat or body heaty, all this, they're actually not very suitable because they are applying. If let's say cupping, there's two kinds. One is the fire kind, and one is the normal suction. Personally, I feel that the fire one is more effective. But for fire one, sometimes, because for those with body heatiness, it may increase the body heat. So it will end up the person, like maybe they have this body throat dryness or feel these signs of heatiness. So it's not very suitable for this kind of people to have it regularly. And also this cupping, it involves suction. So it will cause some tissue damage around the localized area. And so it is not recommended to do it like I say. I feel because some people may have, I enjoy seeing the scars around thing. Yeah, but it is not recommended to do it very often, like let's say every a few days or 2-3 days. Best is if you like it off, it is best to be like at least 1 week. Yeah, once a week or like more than or further a separation, the duration have a further apart.
No, I'm not gonna lie. Like when you mentioned about the cupping marks, like that gives me a little bit of anxiety because I've never done it before. So I'm like, wow, that actually looks quite intense. But some people swear by it. They, but whatever works for them, I guess also works for them, right? Everyone has a different way of going about their health. I do want to circle back quickly as well because there are quite a lot of questions coming through about the supplements that we talked about earlier too. I want to get a point of view from all our speakers here today, from Tyen, Eric, and Dr. C, because I'm sure all of you take some form of supplements in your daily lives. Okay. Do health supplements help reduce the risk of diseases? Are there any natural remedies for things like headaches, migraines, and are dietary supplements safe for weight loss? Maybe let's address the first one. Tyen, I'd like to know from you first. Do you take any supplements and do you feel that helps you reduce anything at all?
Okay, so I want to say that I used to work with a supplement company long ago, and I've just realized that, a lot of the supplements has to do with the marketing, because I think people are just trying to find short forms, like short solution, easy solutions to big problems. And the problem is that I wouldn't say that all supplements do not work. I would say that some supplements do help. Some supplements are not worth the money. But I think at the end of the day, if you are eating well, if you are supplementing your body with good food, whole foods, and the nutrients that you need from foods, then there's actually not much need for supplements. Supplements is only because, it's very hard to get those nutrients, micronutrients in from food. If you're very busy, it's very difficult. So I do think that, things like protein shakes, they can be supplements, but they're not meal replacements. And I think overall, and that comes from like dietary supplements, people are trying to supplement different vitamins because they can't get it from food. But on the other hand, I also think that weight loss supplements is a very big discussion as well. And my argument would be that weight loss supplements some of them might work. However, in the long run, if you do not address the problems of losing weight through exercise and eating properly, then these diet supplements are actually going to have a more negative impact on your body instead. So I would actually focus on the proper foods first. And then if you need supplementation, medical grade supplementations prescribed from doctors, I think then you can open yourself to the possibility of taking them.
You're absolutely right. I think I can imagine with weight loss supplements, for example. I mean, this is not to say what is right and wrong, because I think everyone has access to information to determine their decisions. But there would be like a bounce back kind of situation, right? Like if you go, it's not sustainable, is what I'm saying.
Yes, sustainable, that's the word.
Okay. Dr. C, I saw you nodding away like earlier on when Tyen was talking about the supplements. Do you want to jump on and maybe let us know, do health supplements reduce any risks of diseases and all that? Anything you want to add on? Oh, you're muted, Dr. C. Could you unmute yourself, please? Thank you.
There are actually multitudes of studies to look at supplementation and disease prevention. I'll just name a few, and I want to caution the audience about it. Number one is, for example, green tea extract, or ECGC. Multiple studies have shown that ECGC can reduce the risk of cancer because it's a very high dose antioxidant. However, people
my apologies. Are you guys able to hear Dr. C?
But there are toxic levels, 600 microparaces, meaning we can put a person into. Can you hear me?
Are you able to?
Can you hear me?
Is everyone able to hear Dr. C? Okay.
Can you hear me now?
All right. I think you're a little bit better now. Your reception was in and out earlier.
Okay,
I'm so
really
sorry. No problem.
Yeah, no. So just to repeat that. So basically, I'll just give an example of ECGC or green tea extract as a prevention of cancer. It is a very high dose antioxidant which can.
Okay, I believe we have lost Dr. C. I'm so sorry. I was trying to see if anyone else was experiencing this.
Reduce cancer, colon cancer. At the end of the day, at a higher dose terms, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think your network is a little bit low. Not to worry, we'll get Dr. C's answer summarized and we'll relay that to you in just a little while. Maybe first we can jump to Eric to jump in on this question as well for dietary supplements. Like, is there anything that's different in traditional Chinese medicine that you would like to address?
Yes, anything that is actually synthetic doesn't belong to TCM. Yes, so TCM usually what we focus on are natural herbs, natural food. So whatever supplements that is from natural source or directly made from the thing the source, that is what we recognize it as a TCM supplements. Any other things like you manufacture it maybe somewhere from certain components, extracts or something, they are actually not not part of TCM. You don't recognize that. In TCM, for the herbs to work, sometimes it requires the combination and the effect for certain herbs to to have it react chemically, like through maybe brewing or maybe even fusion of tea, the heat and the mixture and the way you consume it for it to be effective. So for anything that is synthetic, it is not really TCM.
Understand. Thank you for clarifying that, by the way. We do have Dr. C back.
Yes, I'm back. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Are you back with solid Wi-Fi now, with a good network?
Well, I'm on 4G now, so it should work. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm
so
just going to
let's
make it
just
real
do-
quick.
Yes,
Yeah.
let's summarize that.
Real
Thank you.
quick. So basically, I think again I agree with physician Eric. Tea extracts, ECGC, has been proven to prevent cancer. However, in doses that we can get in supplements through the internet, it can actually cause severe intestinal obstruction. It can actually cause even blindness and lots of other side effects. ALA, or alpha lipoic acid, again, is a very good supplement for nerves, proven to help with nerve problems. Again, at higher doses can cause some really toxic complications. So medications and supplementations we need to be extremely careful with all that.
I believe Dr. C's network is a little shaky again. What we're gonna do is, I think
supplementations
we're
have
gonna
got
get
a higher yeah.
My apologies.
Yeah,
Dr. C, I think we're going to get you to summarize those points back end. We'll compile the answers to these questions so that we can actually help them get a full view of all your answers here today. I think that's much better. I'm so sorry to cut you off, Dr. C, but I think the network is a little bit low at this point. Okay, we'll compile your answers from all the speakers. And I believe if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section as well in the chat box. I think our producers are able to see them. And if you have any follow-up questions, please leave it there. We'll be compiling all those answers and getting those back to you on time as well. So just to wrap things up with all our three panelists here today, to thank you all for joining us here today. How can achieving a physical and mental well-being benefit the workplace and boost productivity? Let's go with Tyen first. How can achieving physical and mental well-being benefit the workplace and boost productivity? Let's start with you. Oh, Tyen, I believe you're muted.
I think that it's so heartening to see so many companies invest in their own companies like mental well-being and wellness. I've seen so many corporate wellness programs coming up. So I think that there is something there in investing in your people's mental well-being. And I think that it's also very encouraging to see more people starting to prioritize fitness and exercise as the foundation for mental health and for mental wellness. So all very encouraging. And if you're just starting up small, remember, start with the compound movements, start with your squats, your push-ups, and your planks. These three moves, strength training moves, are going to take you very far. And once you have reduced your stress levels, I really like how the other speakers talked about reducing stress levels, reduce your stress, reduce your cortisol levels. That is going to make for a healthier and more productive work environment.
And less angry people around as well. Less angry people on the roads, in the office, plenty of that.
Everywhere.
Thank you for that, Tyen. A wonderful way to wrap up. Eric, would you like to add on to that? Physical and mental well-being, how does that benefit productivity and boost the work environment?
Yes, just remember to balance eat, work, and sleep. Yeah, that's very important. Yeah, not to have excessive of any one of them. Yes.
Well, I think sometimes it's a little bit easier said than done also, because we are so work driven, right, in our society. So I think all in all, we just have to be a little bit more conscious with those things. So thank you for that. Dr. C, I'm going to take a chance with you again. I'm going to take a chance.
Can you hear me now?
With your network. Okay, I'm going to take a chance. Any last words that you want to fit in here today in regards to that?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. So basically, don't supplement if you can have the chance of eating properly. Supplements can be toxic. Just know how to balance out, eat well, exercise adequately. Don't underdo or overdo anything.
I guess in conclusion,
that's it. Can you hear me?
Truly, yes, we can. Thank you for that. Oh man, this whole thing has been quite an experience trying to catch Dr. C like back in the webinar. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here today. Can we have a virtual applause for our 3 panelists? And a big thank you to all our participants. I think we had over 70 people join us here today on this webinar. We really, really enjoyed it. Thank you, Tyen. Thank you, Physician Eric. Thank you, Dr. C. Well, I want to say see you guys, but I don't know if that's a bad thing if I see Dr. C at some point. So maybe we'll catch up, elsewhere at a cafe or something. Thank you so much. Now, if you have had any questions at all and you've placed it in the chat box or you have any unanswered questions earlier, we'll be getting our experts to address those and we'll compile all the answers and get to you as soon as possible. So thank you for joining us bright and early this morning. In conclusion, of course, a balanced approach to health can really positively impact the workplace, your individual self as well. It can foster increased productivity and overall well-being. We definitely need to take a little bit more effort to be more conscious about our decisions when it comes to our diets, when it comes to exercise, when it comes to our health. All the priorities have started to shift, especially after the pandemic. And we're very happy to be here to help you navigate these things as well. So if you enjoyed it, please look out for the next Executive Insights webinar. Social media trends to watch out for in 2024, happening on the 25th of January 2024. We're going to kick off the year with that as well. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Sonia once again. 987 is my station. Tune in to us every morning, 6 to 10 a.m. And once again, a warm welcome and thank you for coming to Executive Insights by Mediacorp. Happy holidays and Happy New Year in advance. We'll catch you again next time. Bye.